Ava, a 30-year-old graphic designer, lived in a charming, modest apartment in the heart of the city. With her long dark hair often pulled back into a messy bun and her paint-stained jeans, she was as comfortable in her own skin as she was in her small art studio. Despite her vibrant personality, Ava felt a void in her life. Her days were filled with work and solitary evenings, and she often longed for deeper connections. One rainy evening, while walking home after a long day at work, she noticed a figure huddled beneath a worn-out awning, shivering against the cold. Her heart sank as she realized it was a man, drenched from the rain, with disheveled gray hair and a scruffy beard. He looked to be in his mid-50s, and the weight of the world seemed to rest on his shoulders. "Hey! Are you okay?" Ava called out, concern etched across her face. The man looked up, surprise in his weary eyes. "I'm fine, just waiting for the rain to let up," he replied, but she could see the chill in his expression. "Come inside," she urged, stepping closer, her heart aching for him. "You can't stay out here like this." He hesitated for a moment but then nodded, shuffling toward her. "I'm Jake," he said softly, his voice gravelly and worn. "Ava," she smiled, trying to reassure him. She led him into her warm apartment, where the aroma of herbal tea filled the air. Once inside, she quickly handed him a towel and gestured toward the bathroom. "You should take a shower and warm up. I can make you something to eat afterward." Jake's eyes widened slightly. "You don't have to do that." "I want to," Ava insisted, her voice firm yet gentle. "You've been out in the cold for too long." With a grateful nod, Jake headed to the bathroom. Ava busied herself in the kitchen, her mind racing with thoughts about the stranger she had just brought into her home. She couldn't shake the feeling that their meeting was more than just chance. As the sound of the shower filled the apartment, Ava prepared a simple meal, trying to distract herself from the nervous excitement that bubbled within her. After about 15 minutes, the water stopped, and she heard Jake shuffling out. She turned to face him, ready to offer him a warm meal, but her breath caught in her throat. Jake emerged, steam swirling around him, a towel wrapped snugly around his waist. His hair clung to his forehead, droplets of water cascading down his chiseled chest. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Ava's heart raced as their eyes met, a spark of unexpected chemistry igniting between them. "Wow, I didn't mean to catch you off guard," he said, a hint of a smile on his lips, his cheeks tinged with color. "I'm just surprised," Ava replied, feeling heat rising in her cheeks. "You look different without all the rain." "Thanks," he chuckled softly, glancing down as he adjusted the towel. "I feel a little more human." "Let me make you something to eat," she offered, trying to regain her composure. Ava turned back toward the kitchen, but as she did, Jake's towel slipped, revealing more than she had expected. She caught a glimpse of his toned physique and quickly turned her back, her heart racing. "Sorry about that," Jake exclaimed, quickly adjusting the towel. "Guess I'm still getting used to this whole not being soaked thing." Ava laughed nervously, her cheeks still warm. "No problem, it happens," she said, focusing on the stove to hide her embarrassment. They settled at her small dining table, the warmth of the food and their conversation slowly breaking the tension. Jake shared stories of his past, revealing bits and pieces of a life once filled with promise. Ava found herself captivated by his words, his experiences painting a vivid picture of resilience and strength. As they finished dinner, Ava felt a connection growing between them, one that transcended their age difference. "Would you like some tea?" she asked, standing to clear the plates. "Only if you join me," Jake replied, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "All right," she said, smiling as she prepared the tea. They moved to the living room, where the soft glow of the lamp illuminated the space, creating a cozy atmosphere. Settling onto the couch, Ava handed Jake a steaming mug, their fingers brushing against each other, sending a jolt of electricity through her. She tried to ignore the butterflies in her stomach, but the chemistry was undeniable. "So, what brought you to this neighborhood?" Ava asked, genuinely curious. Jake sighed, looking down at his mug. "Life took some unexpected turns. I ended up on the streets for a while, but I'm trying to find my way back. His honesty resonated with her, and she felt a deep sense of empathy. I admire your strength, Ava said, her voice soft. It can't be easy. Thanks. It's nice to talk about it, to feel human again, he replied, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. Ava smiled warmly, feeling a bond forming between them. Without thinking, she reached out, placing her hand on his forearm. You are human, and you deserve kindness. Jake looked at her, his eyes searching hers. And you are kind, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. In that moment, the air shifted, charged with an intensity that made her heart race. Ava could see the gratitude and warmth in his gaze, and something deep inside her stirred. She felt an urge to close the gap between them, to bridge the divide that age and circumstance had created. Jake shifted closer, his breath mingling with hers as their faces drew nearer. Is it crazy that I feel this connection? He asked, his voice thick with emotion. No, not at all, Ava replied, her heart pounding. I feel it too. With that, Jake leaned in, capturing her lips with his. The kiss was soft at first, a gentle exploration of each other's lips. Ava's heart soared as she leaned into him, deepening the kiss as their chemistry ignited like a flame. Jake's hands found their way to her waist, pulling her closer, their bodies fitting together perfectly. Ava's hands tangled in his hair, feeling the warmth radiate from him, the kiss growing more passionate with each passing moment. As they pulled away, both breathless, Jake looked into her eyes, a mix of surprise and wonder on his face. I didn't expect that. Neither did I, Ava admitted, feeling exhilarated and nervous all at once. Can I stay a little longer? Jake asked, his voice low and sincere. Of course, she replied, her heart racing at the thought of spending more time together. As they settled back onto the couch, Ava felt a rush of warmth and excitement. The rain continued to fall outside, but inside, a new warmth blossomed between them. With each passing moment, Ava felt more alive than she had in years, and the possibilities of their connection felt endless. Ava and Jake spent the next few hours sharing laughter and stories, the conversation flowing effortlessly. They were surprised at how much they had in common, despite their age difference and vastly different life experiences. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The lightheartedness gave way to a deeper intimacy. Jake shifted slightly closer, his eyes locking onto hers, an unspoken question hanging in the air. Ava felt her breath quicken, her heart pounding as she realized the moment was ripe for something more. She leaned forward, a soft smile on her lips. You know, I've never met anyone quite like you. I could say the same about you, Jake replied, his voice thick with emotion. They were drawn together once more, the kiss igniting anew. This time, it was more urgent, more passionate. Jake's hands cradled Ava's face, thumbs caressing her cheeks as he deepened the kiss. Ava's body responded instinctively, leaning into him, her fingers tangling in his hair as she pulled him closer. As they kissed, Ava could feel the weight of the world lifting. There was no judgment, no expectations. Just the warmth of their bodies pressed together and the sweet taste of possibility. Let's move to the bedroom, Ava whispered between kisses, her heart racing at the thought of taking things further. Jake nodded, his breath hot against her skin as he stood, offering his hand to her. They walked to her bedroom, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. As they entered, Ava turned to face him, her pulse racing. She felt a thrill run through her as she took in his rugged handsomeness, the way the light from the window danced on his skin. Jake closed the distance, wrapping his arms around her waist. Their lips met again, this time more feverishly. Ava melted against him, their bodies moving in sync as they explored each other with their hands. She felt the heat radiating off him, and her heart raced with every soft touch. As they moved to the bed, Ava pushed him gently down, her fingers brushing against his chest, feeling the solid muscle beneath the towel. She climbed onto the bed beside him, their faces inches apart. Are you sure about this? She asked, her voice a mix of excitement and vulnerability. More than anything, Jake replied, his eyes dark with desire. Ava leaned down, their lips connecting again as she pressed her body against his. She could feel his warmth enveloping her, the scent of his skin intoxicating. Her hands roamed freely, tracing the contours of his body, exploring every inch with a sense of urgency and wonder. Ava felt alive, her heart racing as their kisses deepened, becoming more passionate and exploratory. Jake responded in kind, his hands sliding up her sides, fingers dancing along her waist and back, pulling her even closer as if trying to erase any space between them. With a playful grin, Ava leaned back slightly, her gaze locked onto Jake's. "What do you like?" she asked, teasingly. "Tell me what makes you tick." Jake chuckled softly, his eyes glimmering with mischief. "Well, I've always appreciated a confident woman who knows what she wants," he replied, his voice low and sultry. Ava felt a thrill at his words, her cheeks flushing. She leaned in again, kissing him deeply, letting her hands wander to his shoulders and then down to his chest. As she explored the muscles beneath his skin, she could feel his heartbeat quicken, mirroring her own. She took her time, enjoying the warmth of his body and the way he responded to her every touch. Jake's hands began to roam as well, caressing her back and tracing the curve of her spine, making her shiver with pleasure. The sensation sent sparks throughout her body, igniting a fire that made her feel bold and adventurous. "You're so beautiful," he murmured between kisses, his lips brushing against her neck, sending shivers down her spine. Ava closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment, allowing herself to feel every caress, every whisper. Feeling emboldened, Ava pushed him back against the soft sheets, climbing atop him as she pressed her body against his. She could feel the heat radiating off him, their chemistry palpable. Their kisses grew more urgent, fueled by an unquenchable desire that enveloped them both. She reveled in the sensation of being so close to him, their bodies fitting together perfectly. Jake's hands gripped her thighs, his fingers digging gently into her skin as he pulled her closer. "Ava," he breathed, his voice thick with desire. "You have no idea how long I've dreamed of this." "What did you dream of?" she whispered, her breath hitching as his fingers trailed up her sides, exploring her curves. "Of feeling your warmth next to me, of kissing you like this," he trailed off, pulling her down for another deep kiss, their lips moving in perfect harmony. Ava felt a rush of exhilaration at his words, her heart racing faster. The world outside faded away, leaving only the two of them in this moment, lost in their own universe. She leaned down, trailing kisses along his jawline, down to his neck, savoring the taste of his skin. Jake's breath quickened beneath her, and she smiled against his skin, feeling powerful and desired. "Tell me what you want," Ava murmured, looking up at him with sultry eyes. "I want to know everything." Jake groaned, the sound vibrating through him. "You're driving me crazy," he admitted, a playful smile on his lips. "I want to feel all of you." With a teasing smile, Ava shifted her position, straddling him as she leaned back, allowing him to admire her. The moment felt electric, and she reveled in the attention, feeling beautiful and empowered. "Like this?" she asked, her voice a sultry whisper. "Exactly like that," he replied, his eyes darkening with desire. His hands found her waist again, guiding her movements as they kissed deeply, the passion intensifying with each passing moment. As they kissed, Jake's hands began to explore her body again, moving from her waist to the small of her back, fingers trailing down to her thighs, teasing her skin. Ava shivered, her breath hitching as she leaned into him, feeling every touch ignite a fire within her. "More," she breathed, encouraging him as she shifted, her body arching against his, inviting him to explore further. She wanted to feel every bit of him, to lose herself in the sensations and the connection they shared. With a playful glint in his eyes, Jake rolled them over, pinning her gently against the bed. "I'll give you more," he promised, his voice low and thick with desire. He began kissing his way down her body, starting at her neck and trailing down to her collarbone, savoring every inch of her skin. Ava gasped at the sensations, her hands threading through his hair, urging him on. She felt a delicious thrill course through her as he explored her curves with his lips and tongue, taking his time, teasing her as he made his way lower. The anticipation built within her, a sweet ache that made her feel alive. Jake paused, looking up at her with a mischievous smile. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, his voice low and teasing. "Yes please," Ava begged, her voice barely above a whisper. With that, he continued his journey, kissing along her abdomen, his hands exploring her thighs, coaxing her closer to the edge. Ava's breath quickened as she felt the heat of his mouth against her skin, the sensations overwhelming her senses. She was lost in a world of pleasure, every kiss, every touch sending waves of ecstasy through her. "Jake," she breathed, the intensity of the moment rising with every caress. "You feel incredible." He looked up at her, his eyes filled with heat and desire, before returning to his exploration, his mouth sending her spiraling into bliss. Ava's fingers tightened in his hair as she lost herself in the moment, the world outside fading away until there was only the two of them, entwined in passion. As they moved together, the rain continued to fall outside, but inside, the warmth of their connection enveloped them. They were two souls finding solace in each other, bound by a chemistry that felt both exhilarating and comforting. Ava reveled in the intimacy, the freedom to explore and discover each other without hesitation. As the night deepened, the rain continued to patter softly against the window, creating a serene backdrop to their intimate moment. With every tender kiss and gentle caress, Ava and Jake felt their connection grow stronger, as if they were weaving a tapestry of shared dreams and desires. Eventually, as exhaustion began to creep in, they settled into each other's arms, their bodies entwined beneath the soft sheets. Jake pulled Ava closer, enveloping her in his warmth. She sighed contentedly, resting her head against his chest, feeling the rhythmic beat of his heart. It was a comforting sound that lulled her into a state of blissful peace. "What now?" Ava asked, looking up at him, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Jake smiled down at her, his thumb gently stroking her cheek. "Now we enjoy the moment," he replied softly. "But I don't want this to end. I want to explore this. Whatever this is between us." Ava felt her heart swell at his words. "Me too. I've never felt this way before," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "You make me feel alive." He leaned in, capturing her lips in a sweet, lingering kiss that spoke volumes about their newfound connection. "I want to keep discovering each other, Ava," he said, his voice low and sincere. "And I want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what." Ava's heart fluttered at his promise. "And I'm here for you too," she replied, her voice filled with warmth. "I never thought I'd feel this way about someone, especially after everything." They shared a quiet moment, basking in the glow of their intimacy, each feeling a sense of safety and acceptance in the other's presence. Ava could hardly believe how much had changed in such a short time. Just a rainy night had brought them together, and now they had forged a bond that felt unbreakable.